purpose of this hearing is to discuss the existing and future security threats resulting from strategic competition in the Arctic region and how the United States Coast Guard and the Department of Homeland Security can effectively respond to and address these threats. I now recognize myself for an opening statement. I want to thank our three witnesses that are appearing before our subcommittee this morning. Today, our subcommittee will discuss strategic competition in the Arctic region and its impact on U.S. homeland and national security interests. The Arctic is critically important to the United States' strategic interests. The United States is one of only 8 countries globally with territory above the Arctic Circle, so what happens in the Arctic directly impacts the United States and its citizens. Historically, our adversaries have targeted the United States in the high north to undermine our national security. During World War II, the forces of Imperial Japan saw strategic value in occupying the Aleutian Islands off the coast of Alaska, going so far as to seize some islands within the chain. During the Cold War, Soviet aircraft and submarines regularly attempted to breach U.S. sovereign airspace, and territorial waters in Alaska. The United States early warning missile defense capabilities focused on the Arctic as a potential entry point for Soviet nuclear missiles into the North American airspace. Today, we face a growing number of challenges from near-peer competitors. For the last decade, Russia has been building up its military capabilities in the Arctic, including its fleet of heavy icebreakers. Vladimir Putin has repeatedly stated his vision for the Northern Sea Route to become an alternative to the Suez Canal to facilitate faster trade between Europe and Asia. More recently, Russia is foregoing cooperation on Arctic issues with other Arctic states as it continues its illegal and unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, thus breaking decades of precedent in which the 8 Arctic states collaborated closely on scientific research, environmental protection, and maritime safety. Additionally, the People's Republic of China, despite having no sovereign territory within the Arctic region, are attempting to stake out interests in the Arctic affairs. In 2018, the CCP declared the PRC to be a so-called near-Arctic nation. The CCP and state-owned entities own and operate icebreakers and other polar-capable ships. And during the last decade, these entities showed an increased willingness to transit their vessels through Arctic waters. The United States cannot afford to ignore this increased interest in the Arctic from near-peer competitors. As sea ice recedes and technology improves, traffic in the Arctic's maritime channels will continue to increase. This will lead to greater scientific research, natural resource exploration, fishing, and tourism taking place in the Arctic region. Additionally, our military relies upon the flight routes through the Arctic to deploy personnel, equipment, and other material to theaters around the world. The United States Coast Guard has an active presence in the Arctic for decades, providing invaluable search and rescue capabilities, patrolling U.S. waters, and upholding U.S. sovereignty at sea. Their presence enforces U.S. customs and laws concerning trade and fishing, and supports the military's sustained presence at bases around Alaska. Coast Guard's icebreakers have long been an integral component of the U.S. government's presence in the Arctic. However, I am concerned with the delays the Coast Guard is experiencing with the new development and deployment of new polar security cutters that will negatively impact the Coast Guard's ability to carry out its diverse mission set and protect the homeland in the Arctic. Going forward, this subcommittee needs to play an active role in ensuring that the United States can effectively respond to threats in the Arctic. I'm grateful to have our three witnesses to share with us their perspective on the geopolitical situation in the Arctic and ways in which the Coast Guard, the Department of Homeland Security, and the wider U.S. government can deter threats and protect our homeland in the Arctic. Thank you again, and I look forward to your testimonies. And now, I now recognize the ranking member, the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Thenadar, for his opening statement.